I remember last time you were on, you did it. You did it, 4%. How'd you do it? It was shipments, too. Shipments were up, 3%, right?
Yeah, it was a really strong quarter. Consumption, volume, shipments, market share, all up. Organic sales up, as you said, 4%. On the bottom line, up 3%, up 11% on a constant currency basis. Cash flow strong, 95% free cash flow productivity. Returned $3.1 billion in cash to share owners. It's our first quarter of our fiscal year. We're holding guidance on the top line, holding guidance on the bottom line, holding guidance for cash and cash return. So a very good start.
I mean, there have been other times where things weren't quite so good. I'm surprised. The estimate for sales growth was organic was 1.6%. So 4 is clearly much higher. That's why I was thinking the stock's probably going to trade up on this. Is there anything that, as people look through the numbers, and I don't know whether you have a conference call or what, but do you expect this to hold up at the 2.5% gain today? This is that much better than people thought?
Well, I won't speak to the stock price, but we certainly expect the revenue progress we're making and the bottom line progress to hold up. Both are very high quality numbers, and I sparked to something that David Solomon said in the piece just before this. There's a very strong underlying economy, and we're seeing, despite some of the angst that exists, increases in modest, but increases in the rates of market growth, which you'd expect with the employment situation and eventually the wage situation strengthening significantly.
We keep hearing about pockets of weakness, whether it's housing or wherever. As far as you can tell, domestically, this economy feels like a 3.7%, 3% GDP. I'm talking about unemployment, 3.7, and 3% GDP economy. Does it feel like that to Procter and Gamble?
Well, for perspective, in the quarter that we just completed, in the U.S., we grew 4.3%. Which would be in line with those kind of numbers and is significantly above the growth rates on an average basis that we've been generating over the last couple of years. You can't take too many conclusions from one quarter, but everything we see tends to support continued progress.
What about tariffs, trade issues? You're a global company. How are you feeling it? Where are you feeling it?
Well, we are definitely for free and fair trade. As you mentioned, we're a big multinational company doing business in many markets against other multinational competitors and local competitors. And free trade ensures a fair playing field and a competitive playing field, so it's something that we support. Having said that, just because of the economics in our industry, we produce most of the products that we sell in the markets in which they're sold. So tariffs, while hitting us, are not a significant factor. They won't hold up our overall progress.
Hey, Jon, wanted to ask you about Nelson Peltz, who has now been on your board for quite a little bit. Well, I don't want to say quite some time, a little bit of time, and wanted to understand what kind of direction he's given the company, and what kind of impact you think he's had one way or the other.
Well, if we just look at the quarter that we just completed and seek to assign credit, I assign it first to 92,000 P&G men and women working shoulder to shoulder every day to delight consumers and our share owners. We also have a very strong board, inclusive of Nelson, which are a positive, make a positive difference. There are two things that Nelson often says that I agree with completely. One is very simply, sales up, cost down. Couldn't agree more. Another is I'd rather be rich than right. And as long as we both hold on to that objective for our share owners, we're all going to be in very good shape.
But do you think he's pushed the company in the right direction? And do you feel, companies where he has stepped in often have felt his influence?
We feel the positive influence of each of our board members. That's why they're there.
Jon, how are you going to deal with a whole segment of the population that wants, non-P&G, new age crap, that all the millennials, they don't want to buy all the old style brands. They want to buy different things, right? And feel, organic or something, or I don't know, gluten-free.
Well, interestingly, if you look at our top 20 brands, 17 of them are either number one or number two with the millennial consumer set. They do have additional needs, naturals, organic, as you mentioned, and we're able to meet those with both existing products and additional brands. So I feel very comfortable in serving this consumer. And in terms of the notion of kind of the death of big brands, I always kind of scratch my head when that question is raised and ask, you know, if nobody likes big brands anymore, why are they big?
Right.
It's the Yogi Berra. Nobody goes there anymore.
It's way too crowded.
Although, Jon, you guys did come out. I read this recently, and I haven't followed up on it. I read some things that you guys had come out with trying to trademark things like LOL and other sayings that you could use on some of these brands. What was that about? Because it was kind of panned as a dumb move to try and lure millennials.
Look, we're never sitting still. We're running hundreds of experiments in multiple markets across the world at all times, trying to make sure that we're as in touch with the consumer that we're serving and doing the best job of serving them as we possibly can.
But are you really trying to trademark that? It's out in the public lexicon.
I'm not familiar. I mean, there are tons of trademark filings all the time. I'm not familiar with individual filings.
Wait a minute. I heard that was your idea, Jon. You didn't.
You know me, Joe.
that wasn't. But I think everything's really expensive to buy these things too, because they're sort of having their day in the sun. I mean, are you looking at any of these small niche brands that get all the, you know, sort of the buzz and things on social media? I mean, is P&G can buy, but you're going to pay up for them. I don't even know if it makes sense.
We've made several smaller acquisitions recently, including, for example, the Native deodorant brand, which is a naturally positioned direct-to-consumer offering. But we're going to be choiceful. We've got incredibly strong brands to build from, but we're not going to limit our options, so we'll look at acquisitions as well.